In this video, I'm showing how to use matrices to encode and decode messages. And I'm making the assumption when I make this video that you know how to multiply matrices already and that you've had some experience using a graphing calculator to do that. So that's how I will be multiplying the matrices. If you need some help with that, I have a video on using the graphing calculator for multiplying matrices as well. So to start out with, sometimes messages need to be given, but you don't want someone else to know. For instance, if I was working with a friend and we were selling stocks, I might want to let them know, hey, sell some stock right now, but I don't want everybody else to know that I just told them that. So I'm going to have this message right here, sell now, that I want to give to that person. Well, one option is to try to code that in some way that they could see see some characters, but maybe nobody else would really understand. So here's one option, I suppose. I'll just put letters with it. Okay, and I've used this this alphabet listing over here on the right side. 19 goes with the letter S. 5 goes with the letter E. 12 goes with the letter L. 0 for space, and then N-O-W. And you might be realizing correctly that that's not a very effective code. It's not going to take someone very long to figure that out. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of mess up that code a little bit so that it's harder to understand. Okay? To do that, first I'm going to take my message matrix, or my message string, and write it in a matrix this way. Now still, that's pretty easy to understand. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to multiply it by a 2 by 2 matrix out here, and I'm going to randomly choose some numbers here that will make this, when I do this matrix multiplication, it's going to be harder to understand. Okay? Now, I happen to choose these numbers somewhat carefully just because I know later on I'm going to need to use the inverse of this matrix, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So let me do this multiplication first. I'm going to take this and move it out of the way just a little bit so I've got some room to work. And now I'm going to grab a graphing calculator, the TI-83 Plus, and I'm going to use this. We'll turn it on, clear that, and I'm going to call this matrix A right here and matrix B there on the calculator. So here I go. I'm going to go to matrix and edit matrix A. So I'm on matrix A already, so I'll press enter. It's already a 2 by 2 matrix, so I'll go on from there. And so I'll just enter 3, 5, 1, 2. And there's matrix A. Notice I pressed enter after every number. Okay, quit out of that. Now I'm going to go to matrix and edit matrix B, so I can press 2 now. Now I'm editing matrix B, and it's a 2 by 4 matrix. I have some other numbers in there. We'll cover those up here as we go along. So this is 19, 12, 0, 15. Okay, now I'm down in the second row, 5, 12, 14, 23. Okay, so I have all those entered in there, including pressing enter after every number. So I'm going to quit now, and now I simply need to multiply matrix A times matrix B. So matrix, I'll stay on names up here and press enter, and matrix again, stay on names and press 2. So not putting a multiplying sign in between there is okay. The calculator understands that when they're side by side, I want them multiplied. So here I go. There's the new matrix. Okay, so I'll write that down over here. 82, 96, 70, 160, 29, 36, 28, and 61. Okay? So I can send these numbers out, and nobody's really going to understand what all those numbers mean. They just seem to be random numbers. Okay? But the person that gets the matrix, that gets this, receives this, knows he used this matrix to multiply. Okay, that's going to be the key right there. I used that matrix to multiply this. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to see if I can make a copy of this. And copy it to a new screen right over here. Okay. And I'm going to pretend that I just got that matrix. Okay. I just received it. Okay. And now I'm going to decode it. Okay. But I need to know, hey, what was that original coding matrix? So let me go back and look at that. That was 3, 5, 1, 2. Or if you like to read down, 3, 1, 5, 2. I'll do that. 3, 1, 5, 2. Okay. So here it was. 3, 1, 5, 2. That was my coding matrix. Okay. Well, now what I need to remember is this. The person that sent this message to me took that matrix, multiplied it by some original matrix right here, or some message matrix, okay, and got this blue one. Okay? So I need to unmultiply by my coding matrix so I can find out what the original one was. Okay? And the way we do that is we take the inverse of this matrix and multiply it right here. Okay? So you might remember how to do the inverse of a 2 by 2 matrix. We took the two numbers down the main diagonal and switched them, 2 and 3. We took the numbers on the secondary diagonal and made them the opposite. And then we divided every number down here by a number we got by multiplying these two together and multiplying those two together and then subtracting them. So that was 6 minus 5. So we would divide by 1. Okay? So dividing by 1 doesn't change anything. So now I've got my coded matrix right here in blue, and here's my decoding matrix. Right there. Okay. So let's do that multiplication now. Okay. So I want to save this matrix, and I'm going to store this as matrix D. So I've got it saved. And now let's go to matrix C, make it a 2 by 2, and we'll type in our 2, goes across, -5, -1, 3. Okay. And so now let me remember here, this is matrix C, that's my decoding matrix, and matrix D is my message matrix. So now what I'll do is I'll step out here, multiply matrix C times matrix D. And look at that. That was my original matrix. Okay. So now I can look at my chart over here. 19 goes with S. 5 goes with E. 12 goes with L. A 0 is a space. And 14 goes with N, 15 goes with O, and 23 goes with W. So I've now decoded that matrix, or that message, so I can tell what it said. So suppose I get this message string come across the wire somehow, and it doesn't make any sense to me, but I do know that I previously agreed with the person that was sending it to use this coding matrix. So whatever that person did, whatever message it was, when they multiplied them together, okay, they got this matrix here. And what we agreed on before was that we would write them in vertical order like this. 96, 50, 50, 142, 162, 28, 32. I'm going to run out of room here. 163, 186, 28, 28. So they multiplied by the coding matrix on the original message and got this. So what I will do is take the inverse of this coding matrix and multiply it down here. To show that, I'm going to make a copy of this, put it down here, and I'm going to use a little -1 on top of it, and that indicates mathematically that we're using the inverse of this matrix. Well, there's something I didn't tell you about the graphing calculator that makes this go a little faster. Okay. I need to give a little room here. If I go through and let me edit matrix A and put in my 2, 7, 2, 8. Oh, oops. Better fix that. It's supposed to be a 2, 2, and this was 2, 7, 2, 8. Okay. The calculator can find the inverse for me. So I'm not going to worry about trying to actually calculate it myself. It can do it for me. So now let's get my other matrix in there. Let's call that matrix B. And it needs to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 by 6 matrix. Okay. And I'm going to step over here and use the keyboard to type all those in. Okay, so I'm typing them in now. And I'm going to pause the video while I get that done. Okay, now I have that entire matrix typed in there. And I'll remember that that is matrix B. Okay. So let's review what I've got here. Matrix A is this matrix right here. Matrix B is this. And what I really want to do is multiply the inverse of matrix A times B. Well, the calculator can do that for me. Let me step over here and get matrix A. Press this button right here. Okay. And then matrix B. And now this is going to take the inverse of matrix A times B, and it gets me back to my original matrix. So my original matrix was 6, 12, 25, 0, 1, 20, 0, 4, 1, 23, 14, 0. Well, now what I'll do then is figure out what that message is. 6 is F, 12 is L, 25 is Y, 0 is a space, 1 is A, 20 is T, 0 is a space, 4 is D, 1 is A, 23 is W, 14 is N, and that's a space. So the message was fly at dawn. So if you had, I'm running out of time on this video, so I don't think I'll get all the way through it. If I were going to encode this message, okay, I would start by taking all the letters. I is 9, C is 3, E is 5, and a space. I'd get all the rest of them coded, okay, out to here, and then I would put my coding matrix over here on the right side. This says 3, 5, 2, 7 top to bottom, so 3, 5, 2, 7. And then I would multiply all these together to get some message. Okay? That's what I would send out, and no one would be able to read it except for the person who knew that I used this coding matrix. Okay? Then when they decode it, they will take this message here, they'll grab the coding matrix, 3, 5, 2, 7, but instead of multiplying by the coding matrix, they'll multiply by the inverse of the coding matrix, and that will put it back in this format here so they can tell what letters it is. Okay? That's going to do it. Thanks.